I couldn't have done more justice to this topic than the way MC Jollof has done it. Please listen to him keenly, listen to him carefully, listen to him attentively. Pay attention to the message he's delivering. The question today is this: why is it that Nigeria is still hostile to Ndigbo? Why are they still hostile to Ndigbo? And the funniest is that their hostility is making some of us who are not in the southeast but they're Igbos to deny our Igbo-ness. There are deliberate intention to scare most of us not to accept Igbo, because many of us think that by the character assassination and the name tagging they're giving the Igbos will affect us economically and politically. But this thing, why is it so? Why is the question we are asking? Can somebody tell us the reason? What is the offense of an Igbo man? What has he done that demand all these things? Please listen to the video. I'm out of here, Joe.
You see, something happened in Lagos recently. There was a deliberate attempt to erase Charlie Boy's legacy in a place where he was area father for many years.
Hell.
And this particular incident caused a whole lot of reaction. And me personally, I didn't just see this as just the renaming of a bus stop. I saw it as part of a broader picture. Something that nobody is talking about.
Yeah, maybe one.
Because in the past couple of months, I have been noticing some developments in this country that is getting me worried as an Igbo person.
Hell.
And when I witnessed this incident, I asked myself, is this just a coincidence? Or I am the one that is overthinking things? Or has this Nigerian society decided to remain hostile and unjust to the Igbo man?
Hell.
Now, before you judge me and call me sentimental, follow me, let's examine some things together.
No problem.
Do you know that a few months ago, the federal government of Nigeria set up a census committee? And this committee is supposed to come up with the framework and guideline for the conduct of the next national census.
Okay.
If you don't know, we have not had a census in this country since 2006, which means for the past 20 years, we have been basing, federal policies on assumptions and God abeg. Now, in this 8-man committee, 5 are from the West, 3 are from the North, and no single one of them is from the East.
For what? Why?
Now, you can tell me, oh, don't bring tribe into this. But don't forget that this committee will influence the conduct of the census. And the census data will determine federal allocations, federal intervention projects, number of seats in the House of Rep, Senate, even possible state creation. And somebody is trying to make me believe that my people not having a voice in this committee does not matter.
They use your function to play.
I say, okay, maybe it is just one of those harmless omissions. Then I remember that the Controller General of Customs in this country is supposed to have stepped down.
Really?
And the person in line to take over from her happens to be our sister from Anambra State. And this our sister is supposed to be retiring by next year, October. So she was supposed to step into the helm of affairs as Controller General and hold that office for the next 1 year. And it's going to be the crowning moment for her meritorious service.
You get it?
But for no justifiable reason, the tenure of the present Controller General was extended by 1 year. Which means, as the current one is stepping down, this our Anambra officer will also be retiring. And another Southwesterner will take over the helm of affairs of the customs.
This wickedness.
Now somebody might say, oh, it's just a national policy, it doesn't really matter. But in a multi-ethnic country like our own, this type of maneuvering can affect the fragile unity that we are managing.
Yeah, maybe one.
But I said, okay, let me just ignore it. It's not really that serious. I then remember that the Federal Executive Council just approved over 2.3 trillion naira for some federal infrastructure and to improve some international airports in the country.
Okay.
I said, okay, let me read the reports of the details for the road project. I saw Abuja Kano Road, Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway, Sokoto Shagamu, Lagos Ijebu-Ode, and that was that.
Hell.
I say, is my eye deceiving me? What is going on? I said, okay, let me check the airport they want to upgrade. I saw Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos. I saw Aminu Kano in Kano, Obafemi Awolowo in Port Harcourt, and that was it.
Jay.
If you read through the details of this project, you will feel like the Southeast is no longer a part and parcel of the country.
You don't know.
I said, okay, let me not worry about it too much. Maybe it is not our turn. Maybe our turn will come later.
Look at you.
I then remember that a lot of Igbo people are still suffering from controversial demolition of properties in Lagos.
Hell.
That of Peter Obi's brother came to limelight because he's related to somebody that is prominent. But a lot of people have been suffering this in silence because there is no one to tell their stories.
Hell.
I don't want to talk about the sabotage of our children during the last JAMB examination. I don't even want to talk about the current appointment of Central Bank of Nigeria directors, and so on and so forth. And all of these things I have mentioned have happened in the past couple of months. So, the attack here is not on Charlie Boy. Charlie Boy just happened to be just a victim of the country's decision to make a part of its population feel like they do not belong.
God will see us.
Even Mr. Peter Obi is going through a lot in this country.
Hell.
Despite being one of the few Nigerian politicians with a proven track record of integrity, there seemed to be a coordinated character assassination targeted at him.
Then Tiagasa.
Last time it was a state governor threatening him. But they said, oh, we are taking it too far. It is just protocol.
Funny people.
Is he the only opposition leader in the country? Is there any state governor in Nigeria that can mention Atiku's name, not to talk of threatening him?
It is smoky,
But Obi is an easy target. And his biggest sin is where he came from.
Hell.
Sometimes I feel like the biggest sin Obi committed against this country is that his name, Obi. Assuming his name is Obikunle Adeleke or Musa Obinkwaso, maybe the level of respect and acceptance would have been higher.
You get it?
I don't want to talk about the court case that has lasted for over 10 years. No resolution, no judgment, no verdict, no release, just running round and round circles.
Hell.
And we have called for dialogue, we have called for, diplomatic resolution. But whenever it comes from us, nobody pays attention.
God will see us.
And to even make matters worse, most of our Southeast governors, instead of paying attention to some of these details, they are busy fighting their brothers, calling for psychiatric examination.
70 years old.
Our
man.
Southeast senators and House of Rep members seem to have lost their vocal cord.
Holy Ghost fire.
But since the people we elected to speak for us are no longer talking, some of us will continue to voice our observation and our concerns. Because if you keep quiet, you'll be forgotten. If you don't say, here I am, nobody's going to know that there you are. A closed mouth is a closed destiny.
You don't know.
The mother hen said that the reason why she keeps screaming whenever the hawk comes to collect her chick is so that even if the hawk is not going to release the chick, let the world hear her cry.